Well, Shlama, Llama, Ding Dong, here we go. You sons of bitches, get those wallets out. It is paid. Yeah, no more sitting around on our couch drinking our beer. Mom and Dad have told you it's time to get your shit cleaned up. You're out of the basement. You're out of the garage. We need rent. Okay? $2.99, dogandjoepodcast.com. Going forward, okay, people are going to be pissed that are looking tomorrow. You're going to get little clips, little promos all over on the platforms. And everyone that's watching this at dogandjoepodcast.com, the greatest website in the world.
Yes.
This doesn't apply to them because they've already paid, Joe. They've already ponied up. They made rent. Now we're going to come back later on today, and we need utilities. Okay, we're going to need a little money for grocery.
Mm-hmm.
We're done paying for insurance. We're going to shut the cell phone off, and all your subscriptions to all your Tubies and all your other apps and your Amazon Prime, that's all gone, okay? Now we're out in the real world, kids. We have to dance with the wolves. That's not a Kevin Costner reference. That's an all grows up reference. It's time to make your way.
2 socks. His wolf. Yeah, we're gonna shut you down. They like. Did you know they shut TikTok down yesterday?
Yeah. 3 things we're gonna get to today. Monday, big inauguration day. We got to cover that, which we did. We're done with that. Now let's get to TikTok. So, TikTok got shut down Sunday night, I believe, at midnight, and Saturday night, Sunday, and it is done unless the Chinese owner sells to an American owner. Trump takes office. As you know, today, the festivities start at 9 a.m., or started at 9 a.m., depending on where you are. They have 90 days to comply, or else they are done. And I've even got a story right here. Somebody said, this according to Fox.com, TikTok influencers mourn platform. They break down in tears after Supreme Court ruling. One TikToker said, and I quote, "Fuck this country."
Come on.
They did.
Really? That's so stupid.
So right now, a popular voice on the TikTok app, her name is Emily Sen. She broke down in tears, Joe. She heard the news, and she said, and I quote again, she'll never forgive the U.S. government for its actions against TikTok. I continue quoting. She said, "I'm never going to trust you ever again because you just like that took away millions of people's income and livelihood. And who does that?"
Dude, do you see what I have on the screen over here for me right now?
Yeah, a bunch of garbage. Tons of pictures.
Yeah, tons of pictures. You can't see it, but I'm trying to share the TikTok screen. It's back on.
All right, I don't want to go too deep into that because I know we have a TikTok now and you've used it a lot. I appreciate you trying to show what it is, but does it work?
Let's click on one of our old things. Yes.
So it's still working.
It was not working last night, bro.
Oh, I see the screen now. That was our last. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't working last night. Like I got the same exact message you did, and I was just clicking on this to be silly today.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned.
So I see. Yeah, I see our screen and I see the stuff that's on it. So it's all playable now. Yeah, I just saw my face move.
Yeah. I don't understand.
I don't
Is that because
know.
today is that because inauguration is? I don't understand this, dude, to be quite honest with you.
I don't either. I don't know what they're going to shut down. Let me read a little bit more here.
Wow.
But it is going to go away. They are going to give them 90 days. Trump said that, yes, 90 days. And if they can't sell it to an American company, it'll go away here.
That is crazy, dude, because last night when I was looking at it, same as you, same as everybody else, people were, it's back. I'm telling you, it's back, dude. Look, it's back on my phone. I mean, I know you can't see that because it's.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, go to it on your phone. For some reason,
No.
it is back today.
No, the only reason we're doing TikTok is because you set it up and you said we need to be there. And I'm still waiting for you to do eyeliner or hair or makeup videos. I don't know anything about TikTok. TikTok going away. The only thing that'd be better than TikTok going away is TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Take it all away. Get rid of it all. Burn the internet down.
I mean, that's just bizarro, though, because they had people straight freaking out yesterday on there. They were crying and acting as if their life was over. My son said people actually make their living on there. So I guess those folks probably, had a hard time with it.
Okay, but where's the cab driver? That got pushed out by Uber and by Lyft. And, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit in the street in front of your store, your brick and mortar, crying because there's Amazon Prime trucks driving all over? That's not the only way to make a living.
No.
And I think the government needs to do more things where they come out and say, because we said so. And I get it, but there's other platforms. There's not just one social media platform. That was just her biggest. She used it well, I'm guessing, and people found her there, so she made money. But there's a billion people out there that don't want to dig holes, and she could very easily go out and grab a shovel. There's other ways to make money, so they didn't take away her livelihood. What they took away was her preference of making a living livelihood.
On how she did it, yeah. But that's just crazy. I don't really understand what happened from yesterday to today, because I was getting the same message as everyone else, where there was a little white box and it said, "Thank goodness Trump takes office soon," and it was almost like it was an advertisement for Trump on there. It was weird.
He wouldn't need to do that now. He's he's president.
Yeah.
I didn't get any of the alerts. I was just reading the news stories, and I saw alerts come on my phone, but I didn't get anything from TikTok or go to TikTok. We talked about this last week sometime. Joe asked, he's like, "What are we going to do with TikTok when it goes?" I said, all these platforms, we're going to use all the ones. They're going to come and go. There's going to be better than some, worse than some. We're going to try some. We're going to try to figure all this out and where we want to be. But I said, if TikTok goes away, then it goes away. But they've been talking about TikTok going away and wanting to punish them and getting rid of them for a year and a half, 2 years.
A long time, yeah.
The fact that she circled her wagons and stocked up and put all her energy and brought all her fans to a potentially dying platform, that's on her.
Who's her?
Well, the girl that I quoted, the Emily Sen, she's the one that had a lot of people on there, and she's one of the bigger TikTokers, and she's the one that said, "I'm never going to trust you ever again because you, just like that, took away millions of people's incomes and livelihood." And who does that?
Well, the government.
Radio. I hate radio did it. Yeah, the government does. People do that anytime I want.
Yeah.
Debbie did that to us.
We worked for a big giant company that's been doing that to thousands of people every year for the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's how capitalism works. Fair or not. Okay, Emily Sen, whatever. Load up all your TikTokers. Get all your loyal fans and march and go and petition. And she signed a petition a long time ago. And I guess it got quite a few signatures. And whoever saw it was like, "Yep, don't care. See you later."
Wow, man.
And here's
something happened. I don't know. That's crazy.
Well, and the other thing, too, why they wanted to get rid of it. One, it was Chinese ownership. Two, infiltrating, spying, collecting. It was all data grabbing. I don't know if that's true, but I have to suspect that it is. And it would be really selfish of Emily Sen to not want to protect her fellow Americans if, in fact, the part where they're data mining and stealing data, the Chinese, that is, from us, from the users of TikTok. So it's really selfish, that she would, if, in fact, that's true, not want to protect fellow Americans. So
don't you think if that was their honest-to-God real reason, that we're probably a little closer to going to war than what most Americans think? If that's their honest to God real reason for doing it, then we are probably a underarm hair away from going to war with those people.
Well, we have been for a long time. And here's the other thing. This was on, I don't know, CBS 13 or KCRA. They were talking about birth records, medical records. and how people can't access them, and how the hospital years later don't want to answer question or provide things. They sell all this stuff. This stuff has been sold, our information, our data. It's been going to the Chinese, or the highest bidder, if you will, for years.
Yeah.
So all this stuff, people have talked about the smart TVs, your Samsung or whatever you buy. There's someone in China watching us. You know, there's long been talk or suspect of that. And I'm like, okay, you want to watch me, watch 60 Minutes with my underwear? All right. I mean, it's never really bothered me, but now as you go farther and further into this data wormhole, you're kind of like, I don't know. Is there anything left to grab data-wise? I don't know.
Not from most of us, I don't think. I wouldn't imagine anyway. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre that they would go that far on a social network site.
I think it's smart, though, because they know more about the American people than our government. They know that we're a bunch of, I don't know, lazy, entertainment-starved slobs, and they're like, hey, let's create a platform where all these people go and they enter all this information and they do all this stuff. And
yeah, but their people do the same thing.
Well,
there's Chinese TikTok stars, just like there are,
yeah, but it's
American.
all government. It's all government regulated, though. I think their restrictions and the way they can use it is far different than ours. The state media, state TV, they run a lot of that stuff. It's not like it is here. This is a democracy. So I don't know if their TikTok's like ours. I think their TikTok's probably pretty tame and weird and boring.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. So, my God, do you think they're going to take away MySpace?
I hope not. I mean, I really like the way you can put music on there.
Yeah.
First open enough, and you got your own entrance song, if you will.
Yeah, and I do want to throw this out there. Lots of people have asked this question, and I guess it applies now with this conversation. They want to know if the $2.99 subscription fee is going to go for all platforms. People here, you've already paid, so hopefully you keep coming here. But what we are going to do going forward is figure out exactly where we want to be and how we're going to do it, and which of these sites are going to be here tomorrow morning. In the meantime, keep giving us $2.99. Keep going to dogandjoepodcast.com.
Yeah, that's where you want to go, right there. That's where you'll find it. Every single time we turn one loose.
That's the place to be, right there. Until then, I don't know. Is TikTok going to stay up? We're going to put small pieces, shorts on there.
Shorts, yep.
So,
and that's what you'll find on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all the rest of them. We'll give you, little versions of it, but if you want to see the whole podcast, you'll have to now go to the website.
Yeah, and we're going to do that. And then once we figure out how to make money from the other people and they clear our restrictions, then we'll expand to all the links on the website. We have accounts there, and we're going to populate. But a lot of this stuff, man, it's not like, hey, click a button, start making money. No, YouTube's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You got to it's boot camp to get on YouTube. They're very protective of that damn channel, and rightfully so. Everybody goes there. I mean, it's got to be the leader, right, of online or digital content.
Yeah. There's none bigger. I mean, it's by far the biggest. I've been doing those stupid gaming videos because I wasn't sure if we were going to use my old YouTube channel or we were going to start one for the show forever. And now, granted, there's not a lot of followers on there because, we weren't advertising it, but I've got thousands of hours of footage on there, and you still need more. You need, you got to have that plus something else to be able to do it. Well, it's crazy.
They have to approve. They have to go, okay, they've got thousands of hours, but do we want them on YouTube or not?
Right.
And if they say yeah, then you start making money. If they say no, then you don't.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But, I mean, I don't know. One less social platform makes our job a little easier. One less thing to care about with a phone, kids go. I think it's better.
Maybe. I mean, it needs to stick around at least for another day or two. So I'm hoping what I'm seeing online is real and that it did come back because I haven't got my damn UFO lamp yet. That was from a TikTok shop. I mean, if they shut it down, what happens? It's like, give me my goods, dudes. Come on.
Maybe your UFO light was abducted.
It had to have been,
Yeah.
The government stole it.
I want to go to this now. We said last week we were going to start talking about all the different stuff that happened over at Debbie, I Hate Radio, and all the things we were told we could not do and we would lose our job for. Someone last week, the word was chicks. We talked about it for about 20 minutes on, I believe, Thursday's episode last week. And the boss at the time said, "Dog, you can't say chicks anymore. I mean, it just makes you sound old. You sound chauvinistic. It looks bad, you know. It's 2023. No one says chicks anymore. You're just dating yourself. It's derogatory." I'm like, okay.
But he said it in a way meaner tone than that.
Yeah.
They were like actually pissed about it. It was weird. It was weird, man.
Yeah, and I didn't just say, okay, there was spirited arguing and debate and over why I couldn't say it. But at that time, it didn't matter. It was basically like, do you want to work here and not say chick or not?
Right.
So it was like, okay. But here's another one, and this affected Joe quite a bit. And we're going to go through these podcasts talking about the things we could and couldn't say and the things we could and couldn't do. Here's the other one, though. Gangbang. Arnold, if you could pronounce that better for us.
Gangbang. I could do no more gangbanging.
Yeah. We used to have Arnold come in, and if you went way back.
And I'm not even good at impersonating him. It's like one of the worst impersonations I've ever heard anyone do in their life. But it was fun, and you guys liked it, so we did it for you.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Some impersonations are better when they're not exact because they're kind of funny. It's kind of a caricature of the voice and the person, and it's a little bit funnier. I always thought it was fine. I like your Arnold. I think it's funny.
And he was fun to do, you know, because the stupid stuff Dog would write for it was just
some of it was funny. And then remember when Dana would come in and Arnold would start picking up on Dana.
Yeah, it was great, man. We loved it.
Dana liked it, and it was funny, and people liked it, and we would do it. The whole thing. We started that over at the Meth Lab over at 98 years ago. The whole reason why Arnold came on all the time and Joe did him was because of all the stories about him going out and that old video that surfaced with all the girls and smoking dope, and he used to go to gangbangs.
That's where it all started at, yes.
Yeah. And, you know, he was governor at the time that we started doing it, and he left and blah, blah, blah. But we did it because the way he said gangbang, and it was funny. And then, I mean, he knocked his housekeeper up. Father to child. That kid's like 25 or 6 now. Or how
it looks just like him. It's weird. It's just weird.
It's weird because it's almost like that housekeeper looked like his sister, but I guess more Latino or something. But it's weird because he does look like him.
A lot, yeah.
So we started doing it for that reason. And when we would do Arnold and he would come in and mess with Dana, the boss said, "No, you can't say gangbang." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "Well, because, you know, there could be kids in the car." And he goes, "That's an awkward explanation from a parent. They shouldn't have to explain the word gangbang at 8:30 in the morning." He said, "It's just, you know, it's obscene." And he said, "You're going to get more people you'll find that don't want to hear that word than do. And let's just get rid of it." And I said, "Well, then we'll just stop doing the bit and Arnold won't come around anymore." He said, No, I'm not telling you to do that. Just don't use the word." And I go, "Well, that's kind of the whole premise. The whole premise is it's funny and we get into the gangbang, and he's not governor anymore. Arnold Schwarzenegger's done. He smokes cigars in a pool and he plays with donkeys."
Yeah.
You know, that's all he does now. There's no reason to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore.
He's back to being our entertainment again. You know? That's all.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing these days.
And I like a running bit that continues, you know, and the gangbang thing was perfect. And so he said, "Keep doing it, but don't say gangbang." So I told Joe, no, we're done. I don't want to do this anymore. If we can't say it and do it the way we did it, then it's done. So there's another word we couldn't say, gangbang.
We really couldn't even do impersonations. If you want to be careful doing those. You don't want to offend anyone by doing any kind of impersonation. We were like, come on, that's... All right, man.
We couldn't do interviews. Okay, interviews were bad for listenership.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the horse shit that we were fed, that we were told, the things that they wanted us to do and the things they didn't want us to do. I mean, here's another one, and we'll go through a few of these each and every day. And there's a lot of it. We're going to get to my therapy story and how this whole, we're going to get into it.
They changed everything about what we did on the radio.
Everything.
They hired us for specifically what we did on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed every ounce of it.
Yeah.
And it killed our show.
It killed our spirit. It killed our show. And I mean, they were paying us money that was good. So we kept showing up. And again, this wasn't local. Okay?
No.
These were not local decisions. The people we worked with locally, all pretty great. Okay. This was corporate crap. People we've never even met. Oh, you know that guy in Texas, if he finds out about this, you're fired. All we heard, we had to do meetings twice a week. And basically, the only thing we talked about is how we're going to get fired. Okay? We're going to go through all the things that can get you fired today. Do this, get fired. Don't do this, get fired. Do this, get fired. Say that, fired. Fired. That's all we did every Tuesday and Thursday was sit on a phone for 30 to 40 minutes with a guy in Miami, Florida that said, if you don't do this, you're fired. If you do this, again, you're fired. That's all it was, nonstop.
And we believed him because he was so stressed out 24/7 from almost getting fired himself. It was like, holy shit. Evidently, this guy's telling the truth because look at him. I mean, he's a ball of nerves right now.
The greatest, I'm not going to say the greatest, but it's got to be top 3 to 5 jobs or professions you could do if you could do it the way you used to. And you can get the chimpanzees off your back, and they just ruined radio, that company and others, and it just turned into, people don't understand this. You know, they think, oh, you guys are on, you know, you come on at 6, you go home at 9, 10, you guys have it made.
I know, that's what we used to hear all the time. We used to think, oh, dudes, if you only knew.
Yeah, our day started, well, before we went on the air. And it was not even beginning until we got off the air.
Yeah.
And all the stuff we had to do and all the stuff we got yelled at, it just became so much work and stress, and it wasn't fun. And we had to keep doing it because, you know, you got insurance. I had a kid in college. Joe's got a son. We got to eat. You know, meat's good. I love Woodford Reserve and Banquet. And
I got credit cards, and they're starting to come after me right now, as a matter of fact. That's why we got to charge you guys a little bit a month, because I need to pay those bills.
Yeah, we had to be good little soldiers. We had to march, so we did.
Yeah.
But here's another thing, and I love this joke. I don't know if you remember it or not, Joe, but I used to tell the joke, and I used to say this on the air. And when Dana was there, you know, she'd kind of get she was very, you know, women's lib. She was all about the chicks, you know.
It's good. We needed that on our show.
Love Dana.
Yeah.
But I would tell the joke. I'll never forget. One time my wife was so sick, I had to carry her downstairs to make my breakfast. I used to tell that joke a lot. I love that joke.
No one liked that joke. I'm not even laughing at it. I'm laughing at how stupid it is.
I think it's funny. Okay. Well, the boss said, he goes, what are you doing? You think it's like the 50s? He goes, I can't believe why you're so chauvinistic. You can't say that kind of stuff. It just looks bad. You sound old. You can't talk about that stuff. And what he was referring to with that joke was, I would say, my wife better be frying bacon while she's doing the dishes naked. She better be, you know, wearing her high heels while she's vacuuming. She does the housework. She does the laundry. She does that. And I do this. He would get pissed. He said, you can't say that. You sound old. And I said, but that's my life. This traditional, conventional, whatever you want to call it, way that my wife and I live is how we do it. So you're telling me not to talk about my home life. But that's not true. You got to help out. I know you do laundry or whatever he would say.
And I would say, no, he does not know how to operate the washing machine or the dryer, really, honestly.
No, I don't. And I've never had to, and my wife's good with it. And I believe in old school models or roles and assignments. I've always told you that. And he thought it was bullshit. It wasn't. And he told me, don't talk like that. You sound old. What do you think? You're like Ward Cleaver. It's ridiculous. And then he would go on, and you know this is true. He's like, let me tell you about this time. I was driving cross country. I think I was in Oklahoma.
This is a great story.
He goes, I'm driving through. He goes, I'm going through all the radio stations. There's nothing out there, middle of nowhere. He goes, I've come across this station. And he says, I hear this guy. He goes, I think I'm somewhere near Oklahoma. This guy comes on, and he's talking to a listener. And the listener is a woman. And she calls up. She's working at a tire store. And the guy keeps talking to her. And then he starts laughing, and he hangs up on her. And he goes, this guy went on the radio and said he would never buy tires from a skirt. He goes, I couldn't believe it. This guy said he would never buy his tires from a skirt, meaning a woman that worked at a tire store. He goes,
we go, yes, we know what a skirt is. Thank you.
And he's like, I was shocked. I almost drove my car off the road. He goes, I was like, man, is it like 1983? Is this a warped Twilight Zone episode? He goes, it was so offensive and so foul. He goes, it was just shocking. And I'm sitting there like, really? You don't understand values, sensitivities, lingo, and lifestyle, how it changes throughout middle America or different time?
Or a joke?
Yeah.
Like the guy, I mean, really? The guy doesn't care whether he buys tires from a girl or a guy. He was being stupid and silly, probably.
I'll tell you this right now. This is how chauvinistic I am. I'd rather buy tires from a girl. Because here's the thing.
I'd rather do anything from a girl, you know?
You go in nowadays, I don't care where you go. The guys, they don't know anything either. They're like, hey, what kind of series? You know, I want like a 380. You know, you go in, you talk to them about stuff. They don't know anything. They're all looking at computers anyway. So, yeah, I'd rather look at a woman and talk to a woman than deal with a guy.
Except at our shop in Amco up there in Auburn. We all know what we're doing. There's a couple guys there that really are good with stuff.
Well, that girl, though, Joe, they say that skirt they got working there, the new one, they say she's a real hot piece of ass.
When I'm on the clock, I'm known as Princess Lexi, okay?
Oh.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's my name up there. That's what they like to call me, and I act accordingly.
Princess Lexi.
Yeah. That was the girl that used to work there, and the stuff was all over her phone and computer, and I just kept it because I thought it sounded cool.
Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah,
I was boy, with a handle like that, you had to do something real creepy to earn that one. That's very specific. But now I get it.
Yeah. That was a former employee. I just kept everything on there.
But there is a punchline to that story and that little joke right there, more than what we shared. That same guy, and we're going to, not share names. I don't even know if he works there anymore. Don't care. He tells us that, he was telling us all these things because I was the root of all evil and caused all the sleepless nights for management. People hated me and they wanted me fired, and they thought that I couldn't adapt, and I couldn't, I wouldn't, I didn't want to. And I was an antichrist for a long time because I simply, said my wife vacuumed.
We were supposed to not be adapting. That was supposed to be the whole goal by bringing us over there. But Dog would never do that at any station he works at. It's not just this one. There was no, you don't adapt when you do what we do for a living. You just do what you do, man.
Well, I'm not saying that we don't evolve or progress, but that was like my life. That was, my wife does the dishes and I'd cook and I do the yard work and she does the laundry and I go to work and we have this whole thing. He's like, you can't talk like that. He goes,
you make your living on your personality. Why would we change it after we've already been in a city for 20 years? You would not do that.
Well, but that was his problem too, Joe. He thought it was shtick. He told me not to talk about my home life because he thought I was lying.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. So he gives us the whole spiel about the skirt that sells tires.
This is great.
And he used that anecdote I don't know how many times. And then I'll just say this. Joe and I met him. And at a time in our day, and I'm going to be nice because I don't think anyone needs to hear this word. We don't need to go that far. But
no, don't say that.
At a time in our day, we were hanging out, and someone was calling his phone or texting his phone, and he said, "Oh my God, this see you next Tuesday, this C word won't quit." And we're like, what? We're kind of like just, okay, whatever. And you can tell he's flustered. He's like, oh my God, stop being a see you next Tuesday. And so he's prompting us to go, who is it?
Right. So we do.
Yeah. So I think Joe's like, who's calling you? He's like, oh my God, it's my see you next Tuesday general manager. I hate that bitch.
How about that?
Really?
True story.
On everything. On Joe's son, on my son. That's a legitimate story.
Oh.
After we'd been as a show, browbeat on what to say, what the new 2020 2 or 3 or 4 standards were, and what we had to do, and that came out of a guy's mouth that had told us he was sick and disgusted, almost flipped his car because someone called a woman working at a tire store a skirt. I'm like, skirt, see you next Tuesday. I guess they're the same. I guess they have equal pull and punch.
It was that day right there. It's kind of like we were like, okay, now I guess we see how this goes.
Yeah. And to be fair, and this is totally fair, I do believe this, that guy was only a messenger. And
he was actually a good dude. He just let too much of his real self out.
We had a hell of a time in the beginning that I can't forgive him for, but after we got to know him, he wasn't terrible, and all he was doing, he was a hired gun. Yeah. And he was no different than us, except he was put in charge of us.
Once we learned the stress that he was under as well, it was like they corporate was driving everyone. They were making not just the people on the air. They were cutting jobs higher
everywhere
up. That guy was in control of 3 or 4 or 5 different radio stations all over America. Mm-hmm. Like they were doing stuff like that to everybody.
They were.
It's just unconscionable, to be honest with you.
And we won't go deep on this. We'll pick this part up, but something to think about if you're an advertiser. You know, if you want quality, legitimate truth and content that really isn't going to go away unless you don't advertise with us, then it could go away. I would think you'd want someone trustworthy and someone that doesn't do the wrong things for the wrong reasons to save a penny. I'm just going to kind of leave that little thing there. I don't want, we'll go more into that later, but
okay.
That company found it. I'll stop.
I'll maybe add to that. I would think if you're a major company in this city and you hear the truth about a company, I would consider, why would you spend your money with people that do that to people?
Yeah.
Why would you want other good-natured middle-class Americans struggling to survive, or why would you expect that other good-natured middle-class Americans struggling to survive would shop at your business or take anything that you're saying credibly and serious when they know the person you're giving your money to? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh no, well, we don't beat people over here at such and such, location, but we pay the people that do. Why they're beating people, they'll scream out our name and let people know where we are and what our address is, but we don't personally beat people. No.
I think I Hate Radio was really excited when all the stories would come up about the Amazon workers pissing in bottles and shitting in buckets or whatever they had to do. Mm-hmm. I think companies like I Hate Radio were happy because it distracted what they were doing to their employees. And here's another story of something I got yelled at many times for. You remember? I'd bust out. In fact, I think do I still have it here? Give me a second. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't set up my thing. I was going to play Benny Hill.
Oh, yeah.
You know how long from the meth lab and over at 98, we started talking about Sears. Sears was an awful company. They sold me appliances, upgraded warranties. They never made good on any of it. It was just awful. They knew they were going out of business, so they went out and they grabbed as much money as they could, and they didn't deliver on anything they sold.
And we put it to the phones, and each and every one of you agreed with us. That was one of our biggest days on the phones where people were calling in going, yeah, man, are you kidding me? Had the same thing happen to me. It's just ridiculous. I mean, so many people got affected by those guys.
And there was like 15 sites at the time back in, I don't know, 2015, 14, whenever we were talking about. There was all these websites out there online. Sears sucks. Kill Sears. Sears, there was all these just hate chat rooms. So that's what happened. Sears did me dirty like they did millions of others. So I talked about it, and I celebrated the closing of all Sears stores. Mm-hmm. So when this new guy shows up, he's like, I can't believe you're on the radio celebrating job loss. He goes, there's a lot of people that work there.
That's true.
And I said, I'm not celebrating job loss. I said, these people deserve to work for a better company. And the sooner they shut the doors on Sears, the sooner they can get on with their lives. It'll be a lot better. Oh, I disagree with that. He didn't know the backstory. He didn't care. He told us never to do that. Don't talk about that. He kept doing it. A lot of things they told us not to do, we kept doing. And then, lo and behold, the way that this company, well, the old company, I Hate Radio, they're no better than Sears. when you look around, if on-air people were merchandise items at a Sears, you go to a Sears now, and you see those photos online where there's like a toolbox, a barbecue, a lawnmower, and a shirt, you know, and it looks like a flea market. That's what I Hate Radio is. If it was a storefront that you could visually see, it would look like a blown-out clothes rack. Yeah. And it would look like a flea market with how they've cut all these jobs and all. That's what it is. So we were told not to make fun of Sears while the company was doing business just like them.
Identically to them, while they had 30 people sweating their balls off inside of a little box recording radio for 50,000 radio stations around America. Yeah. Hey, I'm Goofy Gus, and I'm going to record it for a top 40, for a rock and roll, for a AC. You know, for what, I mean, it didn't matter. They just piped these people, and they're still doing. That's what they're doing right now. That's what's in our old time slot right now.
Hey, Big Rig, what you're going to say is, hey, I'm Big Rig, okay? And you're going to hear a thing go, rah, rah, and then all you're going to say is 105.2, 105.3, 105.4, 5, 6, 7, 102.9, and that's all they did. And if that's what people want to hear, which I know it's not.
No, it's not. You know immediately what you're listening to when you go, hey, Citrus Heights, how are we doing out there today?
Yeah.
Hi, Antelope. What do you want to hear from Antelope today, huh?
Yeah. Whoa, go to the Rock Lodge here. We got a good one from Rockland. So I guess you could say we're rocking Rockland tonight. Shut up.
Old Janet out there in Roseville wants to hear. Shut the what is wrong with you?
And then remember that guy, the Coppola or whatever? He's the brother, like legitimate. He truly is.
This is real.
Yeah. He's Nicolas Cage's brother, and I think he's
real
the older brother.
Yeah.
And so Nicholas Coppola, you know, he's like the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola. So, but this guy's the brother of Nick Cage, and he's on the air, and all he does, this is all he does. Hey, the Cope. And then you're like, what does that mean, the Cope? Did he say the Cope? The Cope? And then so people are like, hey, how come you call yourself the Cope? He's like, well, my last name's Coppola. I'm the brother of Nick Cage. And they're like, wow, really? He's like, yeah. Here's Van Halen. And you're like, what? And that's
no stories, nothing.
Yeah, that's all he talked about. He was just, and I wish it would have been better if he would have said, hey, I'm the brother of Nick Cage. Here's Triumph. I mean, that would have been more exciting, but that's all he did was say his last name.
It was weird, man. It was weird. And the only really stories that he had about Nick were like during holidays when he would see him at possibly a parent's house or so. I don't know. It was just very bizarre.
I think Nicolas Cage got a lawyer, and I think he told him, cease and desist, dude. He goes, hey, you are my brother. You show up at Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm going to act like, and I know that you're my brother. But for the frick, don't go on the radio and do this shit job and say you're related to me, okay? I don't want to be associated with this. So I think there was some sort of clause of what the guy could and couldn't say.
Oh, man. Just the craziness, dude.
There's
a lot of good stories from it, though. I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot of good stories from it. Now, when you listen and you hear these things, you'll see exactly what we're talking about. You know, you'll pick it up very quickly. You're like, oh, that guy, he doesn't even have any clue where he's at right now. He thinks he's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the old joke, you know, and I have this piece of paper here, and it always goes back to Ozzy or Sabbath, you know. Yes, welcome. How are we doing tonight? San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, you know, and it's just sad that all these companies, what happened was they went out and bought a bunch of properties, and there's some people talking about a buyout like they did for the big three, because these three big broadcast companies, they're not making the money that they spent to own these stations, and they're firing people. The people that make them the money, they think that's the best way to save. And I think they're digging an early grave. And I don't know what's going to happen. I would gladly go back on the air. I told you back when Joe and I made this announcement at the Capitol. It's that big microphone energy. I always loved being on the radio, especially when all this stuff popped up, podcasts and social and all that. You couldn't just walk in. You know, it's not like, hey, you go into a Home Depot and then you're like, hey, I want to work here. And they're like, see if this apron fits. You're like, okay. Or a gas station to clean windshields. You had to really get in, and it was tough to get into a radio station. And when you were on a microphone, it meant something. And over the years, that started to decline.
Oh, they'll give a job to anybody now.
Yeah, and now they will give it to anybody, and you can hear the talent deteriorate. And it took a lot to, one, compete, two, one, it was hard as hell to get in. It was hard as hell to stay in. It was hard as hell to compete to make money and to have people want you. It took a lot more than what people might realize, and I always thought it was pretty special. And that's why I never wanted to do this, because I always loved that. And I know it's old-fashioned, but it was really fun. And
well, we put a lot of time into it. When there was no just walking into Sacramento and getting on 98 Rock if you've never done radio. Never. No. That was not going to happen for somebody.
Almost, you weren't gonna, most stations, truly.
Yeah, yeah. You weren't going to get on a big radio station in any city. And that's why I had to leave Chicago when that company sold out to the all-Hispanic. Even though I was on the radio doing small things on Sunday morning from 6 in the morning till 10 or some overnight stuff, they weren't going to put you on a Chicago radio station until you went out and cut your teeth somewhere.
And let me just say this too, Joe, to what you're saying. There were so many bullshit rules of radio. Like, if a guy came in and he sounded good, and the program director's like, man, this guy's funny. He's a snappy dresser. He tells good jokes. He's got a really good voice. I think he'd be a great entertainer for Chicago. Well, that guy would go to his boss, and he would say, hey, we got a great guy here. Joe, man, he tells good stories. The manager would say, well, what markets has he been in? Where was he at before?
That's exactly right.
And the program director would say, well, I don't know. I think he's working at a Chili's. Okay, get him out of here.
Yeah, well, we're not going to hire him.
Yeah, there were so many codes of conduct and unspoken rules and all these things that companies adhered to that was just bullshit. And it just ruined the actual product year after year after year. When I got into this thing, it was cuckoo. It was fun. And
I mean, you should hear the stories. Drugs. I mean, it was wild, dude. You would get sent CDs and things of new music that was coming out, and it'd have some cocaine in there with it. You know, I'm like, what? Well, where was that when I got into it? That wasn't the way it was when I got into it. I wanted some cocaine in a CD.
There's a great episode. Do you remember? Okay, you've seen the movie Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Okay, you remember the Colonel. Colonel had to go to jail because he liked small girls. He liked the underage ones. Okay, the Colonel, I forget his name, but he's funny. I love that guy. He's a great actor.
Burt Reynolds.
What's his name?
No, that wasn't the Colonel. Wasn't Burt Reynolds.
No, that was Jack.
That was Jack.
No, Colonel was his partner, and he had to go to jail.
Yeah, he was the old white-haired guy.
Yeah, he's on an episode of WKRP, and he's actually the one that's slinging the cocaine in the records, in the album jackets. You know, he's the one trying to get his song on, and he's the one that's caught up in all the... So...
It was crazy, dude. That's why they had to have rules for it. You know, that's why they had to have the different rules that came into play, because people were running rampant with that.
Well, but again, stuff was getting done. People were making money. People were having fun, and people were listening. And it went from berserk to, okay, maybe there's a little too much stuff that's unregulated going on, to a really great time where we really got to, I mean, in the 90s, we got to go effing nuts. And the stuff that we did, way illegal. I've still to this day have never been fined by the FCC, and we did a lot of stupid stuff.
Way illegal.
Way. And then it got really cleaned up and buttoned up, and it started changing.
Yeah, it did.
And then I don't know what happened. The kids call it the woke shit and the COVID. And then companies got so freaked out, even before COVID, when the internet really blew up in these chat rooms and these groups, that you want to do another round of this? Hey, check this out. This is a wine glass, okay? There's a stem, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hit a wine rack. Okay. That guy, I've heard, back in the day when we worked at the meth lab, they went on and they did this thing. They threw a shoe, or they talked about people, and there was some transgender. We learned quickly from them and other stations, when you go on and say something people don't like, they rally the troops, they circle the wagons, and they get everyone that believes in their agenda to cancel. That's where cancel culture was going on long before it became a catchphrase on TV news.
And thanks to the internet, the cancel culture now extended past your actual city of listening.
Yeah.
And that's where the trouble came in, because it was no longer your listeners. It was people that never even heard of you before that acted like you were the worst thing they'd ever heard. And it ruined everything.
It did. And Joe is spot on with that. People in, Texarkana. Oh, I hate them. Write Coca-Cola. Write your congressman. Get a hold of the Ford Motor Company. Well,
and they have no lives, and they do nothing for a living, and they have all the time in the day to ruin other people's lives.
And the companies, because they took heat and they really didn't realize what Joe told you, they thought that these were contributing society members that worked and would buy their product. They all caved. These companies caved and like, oh, we're going to cancel. We're going to cancel. We're going to cancel. And so that's when the movement of the companies dictating what we can say and not say and do really started to come to fruition, and they really started being adamant and militant about it, and it ruined it. It ruined radio.
I'll tell you this right now. Even if a radio station is interested in you and thinks that you would do better for that station, the process that has to be adhered to or gone through takes so long and drags out so far, because no one wants to get in trouble for doing one thing. No one wants to get in trouble for doing this thing. No one wants to get in trouble for doing this thing. Everything has got to be done to an exact dot the I, cross the T. It takes months to get your foot in the door again. Months to do it.
Something else. And I know, Joe, Joe and I, we agree on nothing in life and how things should work, but I don't think we're ever going to disagree on when we tell you stories of the way things went down and what's wrong and right.
You want to know the truth about it, we're going to tell you the truth about it, because you got to wonder, how in the hell do two guys like Dog and Joe get fired? Well, this is what happened.
Well, like we said, too, last week, Lamont and Tonelli, Out of the Bone, guys at KMBR. There's people, far bigger fish throughout, America that have done radio for even longer than us, that were at bigger stations, that made more money, that were syndicated. There's a lot of...
that's okay. We had a decent following in this city alone.
In
this city alone, there should have been no reason we would have ever been fired from anywhere.
No, and we met the criteria and did the things they wanted. But
yes,
the thing I wanted to say to piggyback on what you were talking about, you know what your job is now in radio? It's not calling record labels. That's an old school term. Record label, kids. Google record label. Okay,
right.
Time. But dealing with listeners, prizes, promotions. Hey, let's have a meeting and talk about something we can do for Valentine's Day. Let's come up with a cool promotion and call a jewelry store. That shit's gone. They're not doing that anymore. You know why? Everyone with jobs in radio, their job and their day-to-day duties is not getting fired. That's all they're worried about. They're not doing actual work. They're not pushing paper. They're not playing songs. They're not juggling. They're not posting. They're simply stressed out, worried about what they can do to not get fired. That's all they're doing. Their whole job is, oh my God, I didn't get anything done today, but I'm still employed.
100% truth. 100% truth. It's draining. It's draining. Not only that, but once you get done doing your show, then you have to go out and sell yourself now. So you're a on-air personality.
And let me clarify you pick back up, but when Joe says you have to go out and sell yourself, yeah, Joe was a paid prostitute when guys or girls would pay him. He was selling himself. Okay, I just want to make that, because a lot of people...
It was very cheap, too, and it wasn't helping.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking, like, what do you mean, sell advertising? No, his services and body for sex.
You had to do 3, 4, 5. That's why when you look at our resumes right now, our list of skills goes so deep, because we had to do every person's job. It was no longer just entertaining. You had to be a salesperson. You had to be a marketing person. You had to be a promotion person. You had to be a social media person. It was like it spanned the entire gambit. You had to do all of it, and you were expected to do all of it.
And we had quotas and marks we had to meet in each of those categories or more.
Crazy.
And Joe, I think, tired of it way before I did.
It pissed me off when you can't focus on content and delivering entertaining quality stuff on the radio. One, because you're told what to do, what to say, how to say it, when to say it, but you don't have time in your day for your radio show.
Yeah.
Fudge. I mean, that's insane.
What I had to do, like the example I just gave, and we're not gonna. Well, we've already gone pretty long on this because we're gonna do this.
We got to cut it soon.
And the other thing is too, we have to get a lot of this out of our systems, whether it's entertaining or not. Give us about a week or so, and this stuff's gonna come up constantly.
Sure.
But we need to heal, and you now need to loan us your couch so we can sit on it, and you have to listen, okay?
This messed us up, dude. This messed us up bad.
You gave us a co-payment so we could unload on you. That's what your $2.99 is at dogandjoepodcast.com. I got to tell you this. We talked about the only job people have in radio now is keeping their job. I had to, when I came in, I had to think about, this is crazy. I had to play 2 songs, talk 2 minutes, play 2 songs, talk 1:45, and then we play commercials. And I had to, within those 3.5 minutes, talk about something fun, like, which we'll get to this before we close, the Redskin Detroit game that happened Saturday night. We got to mention that quickly. But we had to do all these things, and it had to be so mechanical. I had to look at a clock. I can't even think about cracking a joke. You know, I couldn't go on and go, hey, if you want to watch me masturbate, sit next to me on the bus. If you don't want to see me swim naked, don't show up at the YMCA. I couldn't even be myself. I'm so calculated, and I'm looking at a clock, and Joe's trying to look at a clock, and I'm going like this. The people can't see it. I'm tapping my watch. I'm like, we're out of time. That's all we were doing. We were, oh, my God, that's a great song. Oh, yeah, coming up, you can get into the pigskins and do. We could only do little things, and as time went on, they gave us a little more, but that's because we had to mind our manners and say the things they wanted us to say, and if we were good little soldiers, they would give us a little more time back.
And that's why you would say, why don't you go into depth on anything anymore, guys? Why aren't you talking about stuff anymore, guys? And we couldn't say anything about it.
And people were like, God, they do the same bits over and over. We had 30 or 40 things that we did, and I just have to say this too. We worked for a great guy that when he left, the show was done.
Yeah,
and
they fired him before us, and that's where it started.
Yeah, his name was Curtis Johnson. Sweetheart of a guy, a saint. I don't know if you'll ever come across this or see it, but Curtis Johnson, we loved you.
We did love you very much, bro.
And he was our shield. He had to put up with all this shit, but what he did is he let us do our thing because, 1, he knew it was performing, 2, he knew it was good, and he liked us, and he blocked us from all the crap. Well, as soon as they took our shield away, we're out there in the desert naked, and they knew it was going to be a matter of time before they went after us.
They whittled away and whittled away. They took Dana, whittled away until they could finally get us.
Yeah, they wanted to get rid of us, and it was because we made too much money. We didn't want to do what they said, and I think they just honestly hated us. They hated the sounds of our voices or the way that we looked or the fact that we didn't want to listen or do the... If you don't look like Ryan Seacrest or that Charlemagne the God, you got 2 choices if you want to work at I Hate Radio. You got to be him or him. Okay?
That's right.
It's the only way you get a job.
That's it. And they hated that you guys liked us. They hated that our ratings weren't dropping. How could we kill them? How can we kill? Well, we'll stop them from talking about this. We'll stop them from talking about that.
To be fair, ratings did drop. You know why? Because we were like, we're done. You've got us shackled. We're tied. Okay, tell us what you want next. But There was a time, before the new management came in, when we were 1st and 2nd and beating that other show. And,
well, that's how the other show got fired.
And then the COVID came, though. That was the big thing. That changed a lot. But we did well. I mean, we never went on and talked about ratings, and we're not going to do that now.
No.
And I
don't knew where our ratings were for a company to come in and build you a radio station and put you on it. That should tell you all you need to know.
And you got to know this, from 2017 to 2020, those first 3 years, we were there almost 8. The first 3 years were good. We had fun. We were out and about. We were doing everything within FCC guidelines and company laws at the time and having fun. and doing pretty good stuff and having a great time.
Giving Harleys away and giving cars away.
Hanging out at restaurants, you know.
We had actual T-shirts. We had stickers. I mean, it was awesome, dude.
And we were doing pretty fun stuff on the radio, and we were talking. We were playing like 4 songs an hour, 6 songs, 2 songs. We could do whatever we really wanted.
Yeah.
Within those guidelines. And, you know, we were bringing Dana along, and it was a great, great time, and it was a lot of fun. And then it stopped.
It stopped. And then it stopped. That's right.
So we'll stop there. I just want to say this. I don't know how many people caught it Saturday. And so, you know, this is being recorded on Sunday, so we haven't had those games to go through. So last night, 2 nights ago, I did catch about 20 minutes of that Washington National game, and they beat the hell out of the Detroit Lions, and they ran over them like I couldn't believe. It was a home game for Detroit.
I can't believe that.
I can't remember the quarterback's name for the Nationals. Phenomenal. I mean, the snap on him, he's so alert, he's so agile, he's so aware of the field. I hadn't seen the Reds, whatever they are now, Washington, I haven't seen them play 1 snap or 1 second this year until last night, and it was amazing. You know, and Goff's solid. He's an old Cal Bear kid. He's a good quarterback. But
you talking about Jaden Daniels?
I don't even, if that's what the quarterback's name is, then okay.
I think it might be.
He's phenomenal. And that team last night, they just destroyed them. And the look on Detroit's coach's face, woo! And
that wasn't supposed to happen. Detroit was doing really, really good this year. It's crazy.
Everybody, and I think every Raider fan out there, you know, because the Raiders haven't been a football team for, 25 years. I don't know why, but I think so many Raider fans out there, Raider fans became Lion fans. And from what I've noticed, and there was a lot of love and a lot of hope that they were going to get it done. And Washington last night, they just dismantled them. So
crazy. That's football for you when it comes down to the wire like this. The weird stuff starts happening, man.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's crazy.
Okay, for tomorrow, dogandjoepodcast.com. What can you buy for $3? Okay, we're going to discuss that because the podcast is $2.99. We're going to talk about more things that we couldn't say or do, and we have to discuss a new product in the Dog and Joe Outpost. At the dogandjoepodcast.com website, we have a store. There's a new item in there that I hope we can get a video from Joe modeling.
Oh, well, maybe we can.
Yeah, some new stuff in there, so visit that. We are done. We appreciate it. Please subscribe. Please like. Please follow. Please share.
Thank you guys very, very much for hanging out. We do appreciate it. It's more than you know, honestly. It's going to make a big difference in our lives and hopefully yours as well. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again. Play nice.